So Qaduse, because this brother right here, think he just gonna skate through us today. We have some of your exclusive music to listen to.
Yeah, this project has been on for about a year. It's a 4-song EP entitled Fari Nature.
Right.
You know, first and foremost, the Rastafari.
Yes.
So people watch me on the show already before, so they will know. But if the first time they see it, just know if you couldn't.
Then they just go back and do their research.
But to be clear, then what we're dealing with.
Right. Realness.
Is historical things, In pertaining to this 4-song EP, it's called Fari Nature, F-A-R-I. The nature, like the word nature.
Nature.
But a lot of people, when they hear the word nature, they're only thinking about the external aspect of nature. They're thinking hills, valleys, the physical aspect. But even science show you they have a term called atoms. The matter is energy.
Right.
You're talking of atom. People who don't know what I'm talking about, ATOM, atom. The center of atom is neutron, positive proton. So you're talking of neutral charge and positive charge. The external, meaning the outer part of the atom, is the negative charge, which is what they call electron. So what does have to do with anything? Everything has to do with everything. Anything similar has to do with whatever similar. You know what I mean? We have a face, we have eyes, nose. That means we have something in common. Words that have any letter in common have something in common. So, straight to the point, when I studied the whole thing about the elect of God, now people don't know what I'm talking about. First of all, study up this. We're talking reality here, no fiction. Kadamawa Haile Selassie, a real individual who disappeared around 1975, 1976. Nobody was procured, meaning you cannot pronounce a person dead if there's nobody to pronounce dead, or you can say the man disappeared.
Right.
Under house arrest. What would be considered house arrest? They have a term for it. In terms of the last time this emperor, I'm talking to somebody that the world was talking about heavily around World War II. That's why Rasta is the only people who mention this person. But come on, like we're talking to some fictitious because this person is wiped out of the history books.
Right.
In high school, there's only one sentence I ever heard mention Haile Selassie. Besides that, there's only Rasta people and other people that think people that's high off of weed that's talking a bunch of nonsense.
Right.
And I realize that we're talking of real stuff here, but this is not common knowledge. And you see, Ethiopia is something that people don't mention. So straight to the point, Far Nature is just talking of certain things that have to do with our culture as a people. Because the fact that we're even talking European language, you must know language and vibration go together. So, in a sense, the European is in us. The fact that we even answer to the names of Europeans, you know what I'm saying? So, I find personally in my life, I found that out of everything, I study everything, I sit down with everything, 5% nation, I guys and earth respect. Respect our schools of thoughts, our houses of thought. And not to say that whoever you meet as Rasta has it perfectly, because life is really a lot of figuring out. Even as Rasta, you still have to seek and figure out things, because even to look at a person as an individual and say they're God, but at the same time, now, is the word God an African word? No, it's not. In ancient Kemet, which is ancient Egypt by the river Nile, we said the word nature.
Nature.
Which is the word nature. At least where you get this English word nature from. Now, I want to highlight the word nature is really two meaning. You can break it down too. You're talking of the inner nature. Like I said, most people, when they say nature, they think in the physical nature. But when you say something like this, the nature of this, the nature of that, it's in his nature to be so. It's in her nature to be so. The nature of the crime, the nature of the event, the nature of what we're talking about. So you're talking of the energy of the thing. And again, matter is energy, matter is physical. So everything physical. When you say H2O, you're talking of 2 hydrogen atoms and 1 oxygen atom. Again, atom is dealing with the neutron with the positive proton as the center, and the external negative, what they call electron, which has to do with the electric same way, and has to do with even the term elect of God. Remember, we say king in English, King, but just isolate the NG. In Ethiopia, we say negus or negusa for king. If it's plural, it sounds like niggas, but it's negas. You know what I'm saying? And the word or the sound, because again, A through Z is European stuff, We dealing with the transliteration or the translation of languages into other languages, which has to do with the symbol. We're trained to the A through Z business. But once upon a time, A through Z never exists, but the rudiments exist. Everything broken down, you can see the ancients in it, you know? Just isolating the fact that everything is straight line and curved. We're not to go so much in that because I do want to go into the project. But just to really prepare the mind for what we're talking of, because it's different realms we're dealing with, you know? We're going ancient basically, but do know the sun is ancient, the air that we breathe is ancient. And a lot of what we're dealing with is learned behavior, you know? It's learned knowledge, it's the European perspective, you know? You know what I'm saying? It's a European perspective. So when I say Fari Nature, we're talking of culture, you know what I mean? Of black people, you know what I mean? And the way a typical African right now would think if they stick into the ancient ways. There's a way we think, and it's actually in tune with nature. We think according to nature. So we acknowledge the feminine and the masculine in a balance. But we definitely acknowledge the feminine, which that's what's missing for modern day society. They don't honor mother like they honor father. And they're really not honoring the father then because they have to honor mother and father. The African mind is always acknowledging the feminine and the masculine in a balance within everything. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter what you're talking about. For instance, even in our deities, you know, in West Africa, Yoruba people, their thing is called Ifa. You can call it religion, or I rather say science, but for instance, the nature of fire, which in English or European thinking, we would say the god of fire. But the god of fire has a goddess of fire then. But I rather say nature. The masculine nature of fire is called Shango. Fire and lightning, Shango. Like, all right, you know the song, you know your favorite song, first song, Cookie Cup for me. I have a song called Cookie Cup. The first thing I say in the intro is, rise up, Shango and Oya. Yes, sir. Isat is Amharic or an Ethiopian language. That word comes from which means fire. And Shango is the masculine fire. Oya is the feminine fire. And in the beginning of Crooked Crop, the first thing that comes out my mouth is rise up Shango and Oya. That's me saying rise up the fireman and the firewoman same time. So we acknowledge both male and female. We're not just a bunch of men. Greco-Roman culture is completely different from our agency and how we think. And right now we're working with the Roman mind. And if you study Rome, they don't love Roman men don't love women. All right, just to highlight something, you know that in the theater world, they never allowed women to take part in it. Yet they were female roles. So this thing about Hollywood want to put the dress on a man, there's nothing new. They've been playing that role. The word gym or gymnasium. All right, I know you seem like you know hip hop. Remember, and you know too. So I go mention. Speaking of the word nature, a song called "Nature of the Threat" by a man who goes by the name of Ras Kass. You know what I'm talking about. Check that song out, people. Check that song out because he going into what I'm talking about, and that's why I'm preparing the man like that. But I don't want to delay playing the music. It's a 4-song EP, but it's just about the fact that the Roman culture. Right now, they're pushing Roman culture, things that already they already agree with behind doors, but on the front line. Just like in the Catholic Church, the Roman Catholic Church, you hear about all these cases from back in the days. Yet on surface, they're gonna still say that it's a man and a woman only. A lot of the child abuse, the child sexual abuse cases is same gender, but they're training people now to don't think about gender no more. Anything is anything. But there's no generation without gender. You know what I mean? The genes, all these words connect up, even genitalia, genes, and all those things like that. To know if it's a boy, you look between your leg, what is it? And you know it's a baby boy. Right now, they're training little 5-year-old, don't think like that. You could be physically a male, but you can identify as a female. That's the times we're in. But that's the Roman mind. That's the Roman mind.
That's a whole topic right there because we have one people pushing that agenda, but they're pushing it on us. So they're adopting our kids, young men, and turning them into young ladies. You know what I'm saying?
This is the Roman culture. Even those that may seem like they're not for it. Like for instance, there's a thing called, I don't want to talk too much about politics, but there's a thing called Bohemian Grove. That politician, I don't know if you ever heard about it, but y'all Google up Bohemian Grove. Basically, President Nixon was on record as saying one time in reference to Bohemian Grove in a conversation, he said, quote unquote, it's the most fair district I ever seen in my life that you've been to. So I'm talking of things in terms of rituals that these people do, and it's coming from the ancient Rome itself. You know what I'm saying? The word gymnasium is a place referring to a place. Gym originally was a place again, no females allowed. And it was a rites of passage from adult to the, from the young to the older, but it's the adult showing the younger rites of passage, and it involves. All right, put it like this. The word pedophilia means love of a child. Love of a child. Philia means love. Pedia refers to the child. This is all Greek to us. I'm just trying to get people to understand the Greco-Roman mind does not deal with life balance of male and female.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So that's the society we're in. Because
That's why bathhouses
yeah,
is just only for men. Right. You don't see no women in the
Roman
bathhouse.
culture, and then look at it. In River Nile, we used to say Aset. Asa and Heru. Aset became Mary. You know what I mean? Asa became who they call the Father, and Heru became who they call Jesus. But when you're thinking of Trinity, and when you're thinking of a lot of the things, the individuals that's praised in the Bible or in Christendom, it's more so geared towards male. You don't really show so much reverence, unless it's the Catholic Church or ancient Ethiopian form of the Christianity, where they do show extra reverence towards the mother of God, as they were called Holy Mary or Miriam.
I only seen marriage. They get married.
Yeah. But it's just to say the ancient African mind, we praise both the male and the female energy, and understanding that the female energy actually is actually greater, Because if you think about what they call yin and yang, blackness is feminine. Basically, put it like this: blackness and water is feminine nature. You know what I'm saying? Light is masculine nature. You know what I mean? So you know what is predominant. And if you look at the word human and woman, the W and the H, generally speaking, is interchangeable. I've learned studying certain things, I can't go into too much details.
So it's the same word, basically.
Basically the same word. So woman is human, which is man. You cannot divide man from woman or woman from man. Because if you study one, you're going to see the other. Just like if you look at the yin yang symbol. You know the yin yang symbol, black and white, but on the side where there's white, you see a small black.
Right.
And then vice versa in the black. So it's just to say, if you go study the male, you're going to find the female. If you're going to study the female, you're going to find the male. Because they're two parts of one. Like I have a single called different parts of one. But then, we could go on forever though. But in terms of this Fari Nature.
Right. We done cut our time down.
Yeah.
To,
how much time do we have? Just 2 minutes?
Yes.
Well, you always look for Fari Nature then. You know what I mean? You know what? I didn't get to play no music from it. I don't know. I just play one song then. Right. So Kenny, you can play just the last track then, and you can flash the the cover artwork too. Sex is sacred, I know. I get some volume on that. China, straight, river now culture. Morrow road, that's roots and culture. That's roots and culture. Your roots and Sex is the linkage of the opposites. Female for male, vagina for penis. The way the most I set in their category. Be satisfied and don't be greedy. And casual sex is not the right thing. Committed relationship, the real thing. The human body over the baby. Tempting temple of God, careful who you're breathing. Tempting temple of life, careful who you're riding. No genital in matter. Strictly alkaline food and vegetable in matter. Go tell them genital in the brew. Tell them again, how those foods are vegetable. Oh, and see that all the vegetable. The head was not made to suck copies. The mouth was not made to suck copies.